Hi everybody, welcome to this week's weekly roundup. It's been a couple of weeks, but all that means is my list is probably longer. So let's get to it. I wanted to talk first about the Main Street Bridge, which has obviously been a hot topic of conversation for a couple of years now. In the recent week or two, we've had a small issue in kind of the driving parking lane area where our city team identified a small hole. The good news is once the weather is warmer, frankly, we should be able to get that hole fixed and get that parking spot reopened. But in the meantime, that's why you see the parking lane closure right in front of kind of the barbershop area, and it's because we just identified a small hole. So as it has been, we're going to expect to see, I think, kind of ebbing and flowing of this bridge over the course of time until it's replaced. But we did have some really, really good conversations in the last week or so with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. We've had our members of the legislature have been helpful in kind of moving that along, and thankfully, we think we're in a place where we're still able to shoot for 2024, so next year for reconstruction of that bridge. It still is not a for sure thing. We probably won't know if it's a for sure 2024 until late summer, but we're going to keep pushing towards that date. I wanted to highlight some meetings that we're having next week because there are topics that I know people care quite a bit about. Our Public Works Commission will be talking about our annual street contracts, which means all of the people we contract with to complete all the street reconstruction and maintenance and utility work for the year. So that'll be on Tuesday. Monday at the Finance Committee, we're going to be talking about our ARPA allocations. Our intent is to bring those back quarterly. However, given the requests we have and the amount of money remaining, I highly suspect this will be our last request process for ARPA funds. I think after next week, all of those will be allocated. And then at our Plan Commission meeting, we'll be talking about a potential new project, which is a youth crisis stabilization facility. This is being sited currently on the old Bethesda property, not owned by the city, but owned by the Health Foundation. They are partnering with the county and a service provider to provide a 12-bed short-term residential placement center for youth between the ages of 10 to 17 to be admitted to provide and prevent and de-escalate mental health crisis that kids right here in Watertown are experiencing. So this is something we've known we've needed for a very long time. It shows up in our community health assessment reports, and we're just grateful to the foundation and the county and the service provider and the state who's providing a lot of the funding to see if we can make a project like this happen here so that we can serve our youth in mental health crises right here at home where their families can be a part of their recovery and their treatment, and they are in a community that they know and feel comfortable in. So if this is of interest to you, the Plan Commission will be meeting on that next Monday. This week, I think it was this week, we approved the fire station design contract. And I am so excited to pass this benchmark because really, to me, this means that the fire station will come to pass. I mean, the design of it is nearly a $600,000 expense. We already own the land. We've paid for the site work. And it just feels like this is an opportunity for us to really define a space that will serve this community well into the future to meet our current needs and our future needs. And while we know it is an incredible financial investment, it's one that we need. And what you're going to see from us over the next couple of months is concerted information provided to you on a website, in our social media, in print media, talking about our current station and why this new station will be of need to us. So I'm thankful to the Common Council for their approval on that this week. With the snow and ice that we've had this week, I just want to issue a reminder to please, if you have a fire hydrant in your yard or near your yard, please clear that space. I have experienced plenty of fires where you could see that people cleared that area, and I presume is incredibly helpful to our firefighters. So please make sure that you're just clearing the area around the fire hydrants in your yards. I wanted to provide some updates on what I call our major initiatives, the work that we do that isn't quite always as outwardly seen until the product is here. Some of that, and a lot of that really is development. So kind of on the housing, hotel, restaurant development, we have projects working in all of those lanes, which is very exciting for this community. Some of those projects will be coming for their preliminary kind of site work and schematic design to our committees probably within the next month. So if you're interested in those projects, the Plan Commission is where those will be heard first. So I would encourage you to watch the public meeting notice for those. River House on the Rock, which is the multifamily housing development that's just to the south of the town square, that developer purchased the land for that development this week. So now we will start working on some benchmarks to be met for when development starts and when it needs to be complete. On the childcare front, we held a really great community meeting where incredible attendance. It was at Maranatha Baptist University. We now have both the YMCA and Katy campus as partners in this childcare effort I've talked about a couple of times. And we also now have business members, more business community or businesses in our community that are joining us in the effort to make sure that we have a sustainable childcare model that meets the needs of our employers and the youth and families in our community. I think in about a week or so, myself and a couple of other people from the community will be going to Madison, and we have the privilege really of speaking to the Legislative Children's Caucus on this model that we are working through here in the community. Parking downtown is always one that people ask me about. It's been coming up a lot at my mayor meetups. We did, as a reminder, do a few different parking studies. The most recent one was provided through a grant, and it told us if we have enough parking spots in certain areas but not in others. And the take-home message from that was we have plenty of parking on the east side of the bridge. Where we may need some spots is on the west side of the bridge, and particularly the northwest quadrant. And so we are beginning to work on potential for parking, just knowing that the town square is only a couple of months from opening. And then one you haven't heard me talk about, but it's been on our list, is rail and passenger rail. So because of the some of the federal money around transportation, there is a lot of money being invested into passenger rail. There has been plans put out by Amtrak to talk about stops going kind of that Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Eau Claire, La Crosse, Twin Cities kind of territory, and then also up through the Fox Valley. At this point, I think it's just important for people to know that I'm participating in those meetings, making sure that things that would be of importance to our community are things that we're keeping our eye on. And I'll continue to update you more as the project unfolds. It's definitely one that if it comes to pass, I will not be the mayor anymore by the time a platform or a stop would be here in Watertown. But I want to make sure that if it's what our community feels it's in our best interest, that we're at least still in the game. So I'm attending those meetings on behalf of the community. And then local finance reform, we talk a lot about. We had a great meeting this week with a couple members of the state legislature just to continue to talk about the need for providing more sustainable and growing funding from the state so that as communities we're less reliant on the property tax. There's tons of information on our social media at this point about that, so I'd encourage you to scroll back through that if you're looking for more detail. The town square has a couple of punch list items that we're working through. Again, May 20th is the grand opening date. We met this week to kind of start planning the events for that day, so please make sure that you pencil that in. And then as the weather gets a little bit warmer, you will see us and our contractors back on the square just kind of working through some finishing items. The Main Street Task Force met this week. That is a publicly noticed meeting. So if you're interested in the reconstruction of Main Street in 2028, or even in some ways of the bridge reconstruction project, I would encourage you to follow those meetings. We do them in person and virtual. This week they put forth a list of prioritized work for the city to be completing in preparation for the reconstruction of Main Street. So if you're interested in that, we'll actually talk about that in a small way at the Finance Committee meeting next Monday as well. On the recreation front, we're starting to do spring and summer stuff, which means winter is almost gone. So we're registering for adult softball, youth baseball and softball, spring soccer. March also starts the Be Active Wisconsin Challenge. So this is just basically where you register to say you're going to move so much each week, and then as a community, we compete against other communities. And we're also starting to line up some of our spring break activities. Two popular events are coming. The Rain Barrel Workshop, which normally registers in like 2 seconds. And then we're also doing a volunteer stream monitor workshop. You do not need to know a single thing about monitoring streams. They'll teach you everything in that class, but if you're able to volunteer some of your time to monitor the streams that go throughout this community, please go to the Park and Rec page for more detail on how you can sign up. Obviously, the library has a ton of programs as well, so their Facebook page is always a good spot for those. On the jobs front, we are hiring this is a new position for a park maintenance laborer. We also have a full-time dispatcher. The programming coordinator for the town square is open. We have a solid waste position open, and then all of our seasonal positions are open. And I'm going to start saying this now, and I hope I don't need to say it again, but we cannot open an aquatic center without lifeguards. So if you want to make sure that the pool is open and open the hours you want to be at it, we need people to sign up to be lifeguards. We have a great new aquatics manager who's kind of overhauling training and all of the different procedures. So if you've ever hemmed and hawed about joining our lifeguard team here at the city, now's the year to do it. So please go to our website for more information on how you can apply. I'm glad I had the roundup because it made me check the weather, which I rarely do, but it looks like it's supposed to be sunny, which is great. And, you know, kind of 35 and 40, which means you have your choice. You can certainly get outside, enjoy the community and the outdoor recreational activities like snowshoeing and things like that we have to offer. I know we've been doing a lot of sledding, and I'm always a little surprised how few families are there. So I would get out and do that this weekend before the snow is gone. But if you're looking to stay inside, Watertown Tourism has a lot of events happening. We have local businesses that are doing stained glass classes. I know the Town Cinema is doing kind of an Oscar-nominated short film weekend. There's a chili cook-off at the airport. So go to Watertown Tourism for more information on any of those events. So have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you back next week.